But what he really wanted, and what we saw this meeting show us, was to get out of Ukraine. He wanted to get out of Ukraine. And that's a much easier goal to accomplish than to end the war. So he had just accomplished that goal. That his special operation has just been succeeded, which plays, of course, perfectly into the hands of Vladimir Putin. The second point I want to make is
just
that...
on that point, before you get to your second point, because it's part of the first point, which is that there's report in Axios that he's considering freezing military aid.
He is absolutely considered, because that's part of getting out of Ukraine.
So what happens then?
And that's what is just to kind of, I think what happens then is that the Europeans who have brains, when they see this, they don't see Zelensky. They must see themselves. Macron must see Macron. Starmer must see Starmer, because they must see this and understand that American security guarantee, not for Ukraine, but in general, means something only when it is a useless piece of paper nobody needs to ever use. As soon as you have a threat at your door, as soon as somebody starts shooting missiles or sending swarms down your path, this piece of paper becomes good only for the toilet, and even then. And the smart leaders, they must see the writing of the wall. They must see that the moment they will need something from America, they will be in exactly the same position. Because from Trump's view, it's a very Cold War view, it's neither Zelensky nor Macron, nor Starmer, nor any other European leader is his equal. His equal is Putin. And personally, that's a big problem. I think the hoop nobody can jump is a truly psychological problem of deep and long-lasting admiration of Trump for Putin. Because for Trump, everything, all is moved by internal politics. And for internal politics, there is no better role model for him than Putin. He has really cleaned up that internal politics world excellently well. And Trump would love to be like Putin in every single way.
Very interesting to note that we have a war fatigue about Ukraine, both in the US and in North America in general, and also in Europe. So we have to be very careful about that, and about the sense and perspective about the conflict and about war. Because backing with Ukraine, when you think that it's just a support for a humanitarian support, that's one thing. Then making your public opinion aware that you're going to be engaged in a war, because Putin is not going to stop at the Ukrainian border, but wants to dismantle NATO. That's something else. And that's the job we have here, all of us, media, public media in particular, and intellectuals, academic. We have to make people aware of what is exactly the nature of the threat we are facing.
And one of the aspects of the nature of the threat is cyber attacks. And Anastasiya Shapochkina, we saw the U.S. Defense Secretary announce a pause on offensive cyber operations against Russia. Again, the academic we spoke to from University College London earlier, surprised, first of all, that this was announced publicly, and secondly, that there's no whiff of a guarantee in return. There's nothing in exchange. How risky or dangerous or volatile is it?
I'm telling you, this for me is inscribing itself in the Trump's vision of America, right, which he had advertised broadly before the elections, which he's now very busy implementing. And the vision is to take America apart, brick by brick, taking apart the agencies, taking apart the leverage it had in the world, and including in the alliances. The seed is still warm.
But I guess I'll put the question differently to you. How vulnerable is Europe without the U.S.'s backup when it comes to the issues of intelligence?
Very vulnerable.
And cyber
the
warfare.
Ukrainian experience shows very clearly that Europe is extremely vulnerable. Everybody's thinking, what is going to happen if, let's say, the Department of Defense stops supplying the Starlinks, which Elon Musk is producing.
Which are these low-orbit satellite systems.
Which allow the internet to be captured in any area where there is no wire, So this is not just the question for Ukraine, right? Everybody's looking at Ukraine, seeing this, and just starting to really feel the heartbeat, because, of course, stripping ourselves of that infrastructure, of that support, is going to be dramatic. However, I just want to come back to this point, how many years it was Member of Parliament, Mr. Gauzy, was just saying, how many years does it take to bring up to speed your own defense sector? It depends. Defense autonomy Turkey acquired defense autonomy in a matter of about 5 years after the US introduced embargo on its weapons supply to Turkey, after Turkey wanted to buy S-400s from Russia. Now, the US got its defense autonomy built up from scratch, from, paper planes, pretty much, during 5 years of World War II. Now, India has been trying to do the same over the last 25 years because India is in no rush. China took its time to build its defense and to really muscle up. It didn't have any pressure, right?
So necessity is the mother of invention.
But you can do it in any time. You don't need to wait for 10 years. You definitely don't need to wait for public opinion.
Is it true, particularly since the Russian army is being degraded at such a
the only
rate?
reason this meeting is happening and all this conversation is happening is because Putin needs a break. It's not because America wants to end the war. It's not because Ukraine wants to end the war. Ukraine definitely has the lowest leverage, but because Russia needs a break.
All right, he's absolutely right. Europe needs to take a leadership position here because Donald Trump is not part of our world here anymore. My job is to cover this world here. And I can tell you when I cover it, they don't want to know about Donald Trump. He scares the bejesus out of everyone. Sorry, but that's the reality on the ground here.
He scares the bejesus out of almost everyone. We heard pushback this week from French far-right leader Marine Le Pen over the weekend. She said in a tweet that the European Commission totally goes beyond the boundaries of its remit when it talks about defense. As always, it uses a crisis to allot itself powers that belong to the member states.
Marine Le Pen, a long-standing member of the Putin payroll, together with her party. Yeah, I don't want to obviously spend my time discussing her tweets, but what I want to say is that what Maud was saying is absolutely, I join her in this, that it's a choice, between security and friendship with America. And it's very scary, when you have, when you're facing a divorce or you're facing in a high school, you're facing the total loss of a best friend. It's very painful. But have you ever met a person who divorced and then regretted it? It's never happened. People who divorce, usually they are actually happier after the divorce than before, than during, and well, during the marriage. It is really remarkable. The fears of losing are usually more scary than the loss itself. And what we're going to be losing today.
So hang on, are you saying with NATO it's better to be from a broken home than to live in a broken home?
I think that unless Europe starts thinking now, we know now, okay, America is doing everything to show that it's a new and reliable friend of Russia, one way or the other, that Russia can really count on it to represent itself in the Munich Security Council, to represent itself at the White House, to represent Russian interest in the UN General Assembly. This is a new reality. And we can still want to hang on to that dear high school friend. We can still want to go and have the fun with them. But they've just switched. They've just gone to a totally different crowd and they're lost for us forever. And the sooner, forever. And the sooner, because it hasn't started with Trump, it has not been ever such an incompetent administration in place. But it hasn't started with Trump. The departure has started before, it's true. It's just we took so much time to believe in it because it was so slow. But now, we must react now quickly because now we know that the cyber umbrella is over. The nuclear umbrella is just a piece of paper. It doesn't mean anything anymore. Otherwise, President Macron would not have to make that pronouncement that now France will guarantee nuclear, because he realized,
remarkable.
That is absolutely, we are like without the pants now. So, hey, let's put some shorts on. And then second is that they realize that now that the whole, even the vision of what democracy is over. And that was shared not by some, mask on tweet. That was shared by J.D. Vance at the Munich Security Conference. He decided to share his new vision of Europe. And that vision is Marine Le Pen and her tweets governing in every single country. And that is the new reality that we should react to only with defense spending increase. And that's not, I disagree with Craig here, that's not a point of the public opinion. Or was it more who was saying public opinion to decide? It's really what you were saying later. was for the elites to decide. And I know that in France they hate this word, but we are on an English channel, so it's okay. In terms of intellect, it was a political elites who must now assume their role. It's of course unpleasant for people to know that their money is going to go to making more guns. But hey, this is also the economy drive. This is also job creation. This you can sell it. This is technological leadership, which cannot be achieved without defense spending, because every single technological breakthrough, including the internet, happened only thanks to defense.
And we will conclude with Anastasia's wake-up call. Anastasiya Shapochkina, many thanks. I want to thank as well Maud Kessar, Craig Kapitas, Sandro Gozzi for being with us from Brussels. Thank you for being with us here in the France 24 debate.
Thank you.